Hey everyone, welcome to the Automotive Logistics and Supply Chain Red Sofa here at Finished Vehicle Logistics North America. I'm here with Anu Goel, Executive Vice President, Group After Sales and Service at Volkswagen Group of America. Anu, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're here talking about disrupting the status quo, and I think Volkswagen has certainly done that when it comes to vehicle logistics. You looked at some challenges last year, you made some changes. Can you tell our audience a little bit about some of the top-line things that you did?
Okay, in terms of disrupting the status quo, I think the status quo got disrupted and we had to adjust. So the first thing that we actually did is when you think about our network, we started thinking about it in terms of the North American region. We previously thought of our network as individual countries, but when you look at our ports, our rail systems, our trucking, everything, they are interrelated. So decisions that would be made in one country had knockoff effects elsewhere within our network. So the first thing we did was, let's look at things from a Volkswagen Group North American perspective. Second, aligned KPIs. If you asked how many cars are on the ground in a specific country, some countries would include or not include port inventory. Some would or would not include off-site storage. So let's just get some basic KPIs down so we understand the magnitude of the problem. And then we started looking at the modes that we use between us, right? So think NAR, align KPIs, work together, and then where we are now is getting systems transparency. Things that you wouldn't expect to run into in the real world. A U.S. employee cannot have access to a Mexican system. Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. You can find a lot of reasons not to do things. You have to find the one to do it, and then you have to push through it. When you talk about organization structures, you cannot have a person in one country formally reporting in our systems to a person in another country. Okay, fine. It doesn't mean you can't work together as a team, right? So those are the types of things that we tried to get our arms around.
And one of the things that I'm interested in as well is sort of when it comes to capacity planning, but perhaps also at that North America region level. Did you make some specific changes, in whether in your systems, your processes, that help you to better plan your capacity for vehicle logistics?
Yeah, I mean, one of our learnings is the best laid plans don't materialize, right? One of the toughest jobs, I think we mentioned this last year when we were here, it currently is production. With the fragility of supply base, and it's getting better, things happen. Right, quality of materials, et cetera. So you could plan out the capacity, but you could run into a major hold. And then you have missed capacity, and how do you make that up, as we've seen a couple times in the last 6-7 months. So we went about, let's get the basic plan set, but let's have flexibility in the plan, so when things happen, we are not tied to one mode, one supplier. It costs a little bit of money, but it's less money than having to react ad hoc at the end.
Absolutely. And in terms of how you work with partners, have you looked at longer term partnerships and contracts in some cases where previously you might not have?
Yeah, it's a real good question. In Mexico, we did not have long-term rail contracts. We worked off of purchase orders and we call off of it. And I mean, to their defense, it worked for 60 plus years since the plant opened, right? So why change? But we have signed long-term rail contract in Mexico for both VW and Audi, which gives us some level of confidence. Yeah. It allows the rail companies to invest in equipment and those types of things. But one of my biggest learnings going through this with partners is you learn who the true partners are, right? It has to work for us, and it has to work for our business partners. For some people, we just didn't fit their network, right? And if it doesn't work, and it's not two-way street, you're not going to get the best effort from them. And every time we have a missed number, then you end up in a back and forth. So we signed the long-term contracts, and we really learned who our true partners are.
And sometimes that partnership isn't exactly about what's signed in a contract. It's how you work together. So now, all that work done, 2024 must have been really easy, right? It's all sorted. Has 2024 worked out quite as the way it's supposed to?
Yeah, I mean, we got ourselves through a backlog that was approaching $2 billion. We increased capacity 60% plus in 30 to 45 days, which I think the team did just an outstanding, amazing job. So you finish the year, we're feeling good about ourselves, right? We're current. January 1st and 2nd, we wake up, and in the first, I think it was 4 weeks of the year, we had 5 major supply chain disruptions. And you just wake up and you go, all right, one, it's either time to retire, or two, find something else to do. But what we learned with the team is if you put some of the stuff aside and you focus on the problem and you work together as a region, there's nothing we can't solve. I wish they wouldn't happen, but it's the real world today. Things are going to happen. Every time you take a deep breath and think you've got it solved, right, there's going to be something around the corner. Right?
Baltimore case in point, but I think what remarkable resiliency that we've seen across the sector to manage things like that. We talked about some of these changes also in systems. We addressed a little bit last year as well in terms of sort of manual tracking of ETAs and et cetera. More room, do you think, to digitalize? Opportunities in AI to eventually make some of this work happen much faster than previously did, to anticipate these sort of disruptions that we know are going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, once again, another good question. The ETAs is on top of mind for our dealers. In talking to them, I believe it's a bigger issue when inventory was in tight supply.
Yeah,
new model inventory is back up to, in some cases, more than ideal levels, but okay, fine. There's still a need for ETAs near term on customer sold orders. Right? Customers can track their car from the time it's, orders placed, orders built, when it gets on a boat, when it's moving around. So we've looked at 3 or 4 third-party solutions, and they're all wonderful. We're trying to decide which one is best for us, but then in the true, typical Volkswagen Group mentality, what data is required to do an ETA, and can we do it in-house? Right? So you get into the make-buy decision. I believe we have 1 or 2 partners that I think make sense for us on the outside. We're going through the make-buy now. Once that's done, then I think we've got about 6 months to implementation.
I can assure you the instinct to do it in-house is not unique to Volkswagen Group, but good that you're exploring those options. Finally, Anu, when we look ahead, Volkswagen Group continues to invest and grow in North America. There's more to come. When we think about Scout joining the network in a couple of years, we know what else. New models that continue to come online, Chattanooga and in Mexico. How do you think some of these changes will impact your network planning and engineering over the years to come in vehicle logistics?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the benefits of working for a company such as Volkswagen Group, right? So VW, Audi, Porsche, Bentley, Bugatti, Lamborghini, Ducati, PowerCo. So as I said earlier, when you think NAR, right, we were thinking NAR for finished vehicle logistics. What you just mentioned is thinking NAR for the group. So we have PowerCo battery plant up in Canada. Don't have a manufacturing plant in Canada. Those batteries are going to need to get to Chattanooga. They're going to need to get to Mexico. Scout in South Carolina, they broke ground a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's amazing. Chattanooga, right, rumored to get some additional product. Mexico gets some additional product. So if you start looking at logistics, inbound and outbound as a group, you will find different opportunities and different solutions. So beyond NAR finished vehicle logistics, you start thinking NAR all group brands, and then all group brands inbound, outbound. Now you got something.
Well, it's really exciting and new. I think we talk about disrupting the status quo. We're excited to share more with our global audience, learn more about these changes in the years to come. Thanks so much for being here at Finished Vehicle Logistics and joining me on the red sofa.
Yeah, thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for the time.